This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
You know, when people like reach out and ask for help and it's something as simple as, hey, shipping her a box of tampons.
The one thing about this girl is she's never asked me for anything. She may have hinted about tampons.
July 4th, year 2020. The 4th of July.
It's the 217 Recovery Podcast. My name is Corey Winfield. How are you? Marney Liston is with me tonight in the studio. What's up?
How are you doing? Happy 4th.
Good, yeah. Do you know, well, you lived in the South.
Uh-huh.
They call it July.
In San Antonio? I don't know. Not really.
Well, you lived in Oklahoma, I thought.
Yeah, for like a year I did.
Come out for our July sale. I'm like,
Nope, not everybody in the South
yeah, they do.
talks like that.
Yes, they do. 98% of them that I met.
I don't know where you were living.
Well, I lived in the land of oil and tires in July.
I lived outside Oklahoma City.
Okay, maybe whatever you're trying to say, that you lived with people that weren't. Wait, you were trying to say that you lived with the uppity class people in the South?
No, I'm just saying I never came across people that talked like that.
Wow, that's very offensive to people in the South.
I'm just saying.
You better not leave the house tomorrow. No, I had to redo a commercial one time. So I was like, come out for the annual, whatever, 4th of July sale. And they're like, you got to redo that. I was like, did I say the name of the car wrong? Like, what was it? No, you said July wrong. I was like, no, I said July. No, it's July. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I remember I fought my boss. I'm not going to do that. And he's like, you have to do it. I'm like, how about you just get someone else to read it? He's like, well, if you read it like that, then they're gonna know that you're not from down here and they're gonna hate you. And I was like, well, if they hate me because I say July, then tough titty, you know? I don't know. Like, I didn't know what to tell them. I can't remember if I did it. I don't think I gave in though, because that was my thing. Like, there's a place, and you maybe have heard of it, Miami, Oklahoma.
No.
Well, it's Miami. It's spelled just like Miami, and they're like, well, no, it's Miami. No, I pulled it up on dictionary.com, and I just hit play, and it's like Miami, and I'm like, see, that's us.
Mm-hmm.
No, if you the GM there was like, if you say Miami, Oklahoma one more time, it will be the last time you ever talk on our radio stations. I was like, well, then you better not give me more tickets to Miami, Oklahoma. And then I said it one more time too, and he didn't fire me, so maybe he didn't hear me. I don't know, but I'm turning it into like a bigger deal because I didn't like changing my language and how I was raised. In the English that I had learned, I didn't want to unlearn that, you know? Mm-hmm. So, but yeah. So, happy 4th of July. And now I say it. Yeah, I don't know. Go figure. But no, so you did the family thing today.
I did. I had the opportunity to do a few fireworks with my family. Stopped and got some from the fireworks store that's here in Traverse City. They had kind of a limited selection since I decided to wait till the day of, but no, they're young still, so it was kind of neat.
And they approached you and said, we're drinking wine coolers.
Yeah, they did. My sister bought some wine coolers, and they thought it was important to tell me there was wine coolers. I think that was just a totally random thing, though. I don't think that had anything to do with anything, but...
And they're young. I doubt your sister... or brother-in-law would have talked to them about.
No.
There's nothing that they would really need to know.
I'm guessing it was probably like they asked to have one or some of something, my guess. And she probably said, no, you can't have this. It's wine coolers. I don't know. I don't know how the whole thing transpired, but it wasn't a big deal.
I think I told my nephews. I know I told Austin, the older one. Mm-hmm. I was like, Uncle Corey can't drink. And it's poison. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh.
That's an easy way to explain it to him.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm allergic.
Yeah. So, today, the 4th of July, I took a shower earlier. While I was in the shower, I started thinking about my stepmom and my dad. Not like sexual. But I was thinking about my stepmom in the shower. You were here, and you were just not in the shower with me, Marney. But no, I was in there, and I was thinking about today because, like, 4th of July, I started processing things. Today is their anniversary. My real biological father, whatever you want to call him, and my stepmom. And I thought, should I send him a text? I never send him a text saying happy anniversary. But it's just one of those things that it's like, does that make me bad because I know it's their anniversary and don't even say, hey, happy anniversary? Or I don't know. I was trying to process that, and I started going back to my childhood, and like my dad remarried before my mom did, and my stepmom was really, really mean, and I don't know, was I a mama's boy? Sure. I was like 3 or 4 years old when I got divorced, so it was, I don't know. And my mom's all I knew. That was my safety blanket. And I remember I loved my dad, and I loved hanging out with him alone. He was a different guy. When my stepmom would come around, it would kind of change, and he would. But when it was just us, man, he's a different guy, and that's the guy that I loved, and that's the guy that I always sought approval from. And I was talking to a guy today. I was telling him, he was like, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, I got to do a podcast. And I was like, I might get pretty deep on this one. And I'm not sure because, I don't know, I'd rather just hook up a new TV or something. But instead, I was like, no, this is something that I have to talk about for me. I do the podcast for me. And if people listen and they get something from it, then that's awesome. That's cool. But for me to go back, and I was telling him about abandonment issues, and that I had to dig really, really deep for that to find out that I had abandonment issues, and they stem from, my father leaving, and he can say whatever, and it doesn't really matter. I just know how I feel, and this is getting to the point of dealing with the situation and the problem that would lead me to drink, and I would blame it on girlfriends or relationships that wouldn't work out, and I'm alone now. But yet at the same time, I wanted to move away from the family. I wanted to move away from where I was. I wanted to be a big radio superstar. I wanted to, make it to Chicago, and man, that'd be so cool. And well, I never made it to Chicago, but Dallas was top 5 market, and that was pretty cool. But it was just me in a room. So again, lonely. Even my job was lonely. It's just me in a room talking into a microphone. It was lonely, and moving so far away, and alcohol was right there, and it would numb the pain. And even though I thought, man, I'm doing what I need to do, and I'm doing what I've always wanted to do in my career, and be on the radio and just keep moving up markets, and become program director. And I didn't know I wanted to be promotions director. It just kind of fell in my lap, and some money did too. But the experience that came with it, and the website management, and the director of the web, and it's like the PSAs and the public service guy, and whatever they call it. It wasn't public service guy. It was I only did that for a hot minute. I hated every minute of that. But it taught me about public relations, and dealing with different charities, and how radio stations have to play certain things based on FCC rules. And I know that now. I really need to start getting our stuff out since we're a 501c3. But I learned all that stuff. At the same time, I wasn't happy, and I was still lonely. And it was a fight that I always had with myself. Like I knew I needed to get back home or around people, but then I just figured, but then I'd be a failure. So I can't go home yet. And I got to keep pushing this until, I don't know, till something, I forced my way into a family, or which I almost happened, and thank God it didn't. And that was a tough one too. The guy I was talking with earlier asked me, he's like, well, why'd you move back to Michigan? And I was like, well, I was working in Arkansas, and the radio station in Benton Harbor had reached out a few times before that, and they were way off on money. And this new GM, who I knew, I didn't like him at all. Just thought he was a douche. His name kind of rhymes with that, but no. So I didn't like him at all, and I thought, well, maybe he's changed and this and that. And they were like, oh, well, we'll spend the money. We'll pay you, you know. And I'm like, okay. So that was my excuse. So I finally get to come back home, and the relationship that I was in, she was pregnant, and she was like, oh, I'll move to Michigan. And I was like, all right, cool. And I just thought, man, this life's just going the way that, man, you know, this is great, and it's going the way that God wanted it to. And I get home, and it was like, you know, God pulled the rug out. It was like, nah, not so fast. And she ended up not coming. She told me she had a miscarriage, but I'm thinking, well, she had an abortion, because I don't think she had any intentions on leaving. And there was that situation in that relationship was horrible, and I didn't need to be in that anyway. But I really had a hard time with, did she have an abortion? Was it a miscarriage? And then I went to a place in Grand Rapids called Pine Rest, and I was talking to one of the psychologists, I think, there, and he was like, you know what, man? He's like, first of all, you have to accept that you're never going to know the truth about that. So you might as well just let that go. And I thought about it, and he was absolutely right. You know, like, why am I beating myself up over this? Whatever happened has happened. And if anything, I could be accusing her of false stuff. You know, like, whatever happened, you know, and look at it like you don't have a kid that you never see that's in Arkansas now, you know. And I thought, yeah, that's, I guess, a way to look at it. And I started getting over that. So then I left Pine Rest, went back to the radio station, and they suspended me for 2 weeks with no pay, even though they knew I was going. It wasn't like I just stopped showing up to work. No, I told them I was going there. I'm going to be there for a week, or I don't even think it was a week. I think it was like 4 days, 5 days maybe, and come back out. And they just didn't know how to handle somebody with depression. And I told them I was severely depressed, and they didn't want anything to do with it. And it's a good thing I don't work for them anymore. I just don't like working for shitty people. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it is what it is. But I'm here now, and this is great. And yeah, back to the shower. So, but all that wrapped up into abandonment issues and me wondering if I should reach out and be the bigger man. And I started thinking, I was like, you know, I had my birthday last month. I still didn't get I think I'm just done. I'm just ready to shut the door with it. And, you know, there'll be times just like alcohol where I'll think about it. You know, I'll think about him, but I don't have anything to prove to him. You know, he never listened to me one time on the radio. He said, well, you play the music I don't like. You know, my grandma was 70 years old or whatever, 75 or whatever, and she was rocking out to Ozzy. She hated it, mm-hmm. you know, but just to hear me, you know, mm-hmm. come on between songs. And my grandfather, who passed away last year, you know, he would go out to his truck and sit in the morning because he wouldn't get good reception in his house. So he'd go out in his truck and he'd sit, and he would listen to my morning show, mm-hmm. which I had no idea until one day he told me. We were at a funeral for my Aunt Angie's father, and he came up to me with tears in his eyes. He was like, Corey, I'm so proud of you. I listen to you every morning. I'm like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah. And I was like, wow. That really meant a lot, you know. But my own father, who I used his last name on the radio, couldn't even listen to me, man. Mm-hmm. That hurt. And it was that kind of acknowledgement or approval that I was seeking from him, and I didn't need it. I didn't need it at all from him. I never got it anyway. So, you know, to seek out something that's never going to happen is probably really unhealthy. And yeah, so
what about that? The acceptance thing is good. I mean, it's all processing. Mm-hmm. You know.
No, and you know, I haven't really talked about this out loud really to anybody, so this is kind of like the first time. And you know, I've said it in previous episodes and different podcasts that, you know, I would address the father situation when it was right and when it was ready. And I don't know, I just felt like today when I was in the shower, I was like, you know, today is the day I really need to do that. Mm-hmm. And just for myself, you know. And if someone, you know, has the same kind of thing where maybe they were looking for approval from a mom or a father or some kind of person that they look up to and they're not getting it, well, you know, maybe you don't need their approval.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, obviously I don't know your dad or anything, but he's missing out. He should be proud of you.
Yeah. Well, my stepdad's proud.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing too about my dad. Like when I jokingly threw out one time, I was like, well, maybe I'll just move in with you. And he's like, well, we'll have